We've arrived at Moore's Station, and I'd really like to talk about the history. The California Gold Rush dramatically changed the overland transportation in the American West. Entrepreneurs built a vast network of new roads used by stage and freight companies, which today they're still in service, and mining roads and mining communities. Hennis Pass Road was used in the 1850s for travel to the mining camps along the North and Middle Yuba Rivers. For example, Sierra cities along the Yuba River, the North Yuba River. The Middle Yuba River also had mines as well. And then they improved, well, after the Comstock Silver Strike in 1859, they improved the Hennis Pass Road. That way they could attract travel between San Francisco, Virginia City, via Sacramento, Auburn, Nevada City, and Camptonville. And you can see a little advertisement that says California Stage Company. It's a little advertisement. Downeyville, Forest City, for Snow Tent, Lake City, Nevada, just a bunch of cities. And then they would build multiple stations. I want to show you guys, here's where we are. Here's the Hennis Pass Road, straight ahead. 2's the hotel, 3's the well, 4's the barn, 5's the corral, 6 is the root cellar. There's supposed to be some foundations. It says a typical way station furnished a meal and a place to sleep. The kitchen and dining rooms were downstairs with bedrooms on the second floor. That's what it looks like. Wagons were the only way to move people and freight over the Sierra. Transportation companies used Hennis Pass Road. They built the way stations and arranged with local ranchers to service passenger and freight traffic during the 1860s in the heyday. The sheep ranch could provide sheep. Even cattle ranchers could provide meat for the station, so people had a steak on the table. And that was relief after you travel hundreds of miles through Nevada to reach the Sierras. You'd have a bed to bunk up at, and you could have a drink at the hotel, have a drink, a steak. That was living. It says Moore Station was a way station and a 320-acre ranch operated by Linsador Moore and his family. So this is ranch land all through here. Very scenic. After the Transcontinental Railroad was completed in 1869, the traffic on Hennis Pass Road dropped considerably. And then we have a plaque over here, dedicated to Edward Dunkley. Through his passion for knowledge about trails used on the westward movement of Nevada and California, he was instrumental redefining the Hennis Pass and other routes long forgotten but to a few. The hours of research and the travel on dead-end trails paid off, as now you can travel these old routes and imagine the endless wagon trains full of gold seekers and people looking for a new life out west. Ed was truly a man of the past who looked towards the future. Dedicated by Sacramento Jeepers on the site, August 2004. This is amazing. Hennis Pass Road. The heavy Comstock-related traffic led to congestion problems along the bustling Hennis Pass Road. In other words, folks, you'd have 50 to 100 wagons in line to wait their turn to travel through. Wagon trains, thousands of immigrants flocking to California, leaving California to go to Virginia City, which had 10 to 20,000 people living. They all had to get here somehow. At calculation, must have passed 200 to 300 teams. Every wagon was heavily freighted, some with merchandise, others with iron castings for mills, and quite a goodly number of families' fruit, whiskey, and furniture. Ah, whiskey. May not be Jack Daniels, but it's made in a barn. There were horse teams and mule teams and ox teams. I never before saw so many teams on one road. No wonder the dust was so deep. Journalist J. Ross Brown, 1863. Let me give you some stone-cold facts about this little stage stop or way station by the Moores. It was operated by two different families. It was run by the Linsador Moore and his family. Of course, other families like the brother-in-law or the sister-in-law would take over the ranch and the way station generation after generation. Of course, this did not last that long, but with Mice Lake, you'd have kids, and those kids would have kids, and for generations, for 50 years, the ranch would be run. Or in the summer, you would live in, and then in the winters, you'd go up to like San Francisco to live, for example, or at lower elevations where it's not so wintry. But here's some facts. The root cellar was used for cold storage. It was made out of dry laid rocks and covered with logs and earth. Kept the food cold. Where the hotel's located, which is just up ahead, it was about 100 feet long, 50 feet wide. There was a 40-foot deep well. The 40-foot deep well is what provided the water here. Of course, there was also a well in Boca. They also had gotten the water either from the river or the scene that I took a photo of. And the location of the corrals are now marked with rocks. Moore's Hotel. 2 feet beyond the sign once stood the thriving hotel. After a long, dusty day on the road, travelers could find a hearty meal and a place to rest. This is kind of what the hotel looked like. Quaint. And it stood right here. Nothing remains. Nothing. It's still a good site to monitor the, talk about the history and show you where it was located or how it was set up. Moore Station Well. Way stations were always located with an eye to water and fuel for cooking and heating. 5 feet beyond the sign, you'll see an indentation. This was the site of the station's well and the source for drinking water. As I said earlier in my video, it's 40 feet deep. And it said water had to be hand pumped to the surface as needed. So no, there was no bucket that lowered down. But you can see the well. I'll get up here. It's collapsed. But this is where the well was located. It's no longer 40 feet. But at one time it was. You fall down there, that's it. It's over. You could tell this was a stage stop. If you really look good enough, you could see that this area had something was here on the land because all the trees are cleared or cut down. And then, for example, you have this well site. It's amazing the mix of history. Across the road's Native American. This is early pioneer and immigrant area. And then you also have a sheep farm, which ties in to the early ranching in the area. Pretty cool. Moore's Barn. A vital place for rest and feeding, sheltering stock animals, and making needed repairs. So this is basically the maintenance barn. Let's say you were an immigrant. You could bunk up your horses for the night here, water them down, feed them. Oh yeah, this was a wonderful station. Quite an intricate complex, believe it or not. This was the corral, ladies and gentlemen. You see how the rocks are piled? It's kind of rectangular shaped. Moore used materials he had around him to build the corral. Rocks were cleared and stacked in the low rock walls, and they held in the fence post, as you can see, this depiction. This is the root cellar. You know how I can tell? Let me step down. Look at this. These rocks are not locked in tight. Oh, there's a lizard. Come on. Oh, here we go. Isn't this a little interesting? Look at this. Clearly, someone either drug their foot deep into the dirt, or within a swipe of one hand, something. It's hard to see. Let's see. Look where it starts. Let's see if I can go up it. And we'll get it from this angle too. There we go. Look at that. Almost 5 feet. What could have done that? Was a bear digging for roots? Some kind of animal digging? It's just a straight line. It looks like something dragged their foot through here. You know, sometimes Bigfoot would drag their feet to cover up tracks, to get mud off between their toes. It's marshland. And sometimes you'll have maybe a Bigfoot will get down on his knees and just take his one hand and just swipe along. Remember, they can eat certain foliage that humans can't digest because their intestines are longer. So it is a possibility this could be something. You decide. What is it? What made it?